In the heart of West Africa, there lived a young orphan girl named Adana. She was known throughout the village for her angelic singing voice and radiant beauty. But behind her captivating exterior lay a childhood marred by tragedy and hardship. Adana's parents, beloved members of the community, perished in a tragic accident when she was just a child. With nowhere else to turn, she was taken in by her only remaining relative, Auntie Sabina. However, instead of providing love and care, Auntie Sabina treated Adana as little more than a servant, forcing her to work from dawn till dusk without respite. One morning, as the sun rose over the village, Sabina woke her Adana and instructed her of her chores and handed her supplies for the tasks. Adana found herself kneeling on the hard wooden floor of her aunt's house, a small toothbrush gripped tightly in her hand. With each stroke, she scrubbed diligently, the bristles scraping against the stubborn stains that marred the surface. Hours passed, and still, Adana persisted in her task, her hands growing sore and her muscles aching with exhaustion. But not once did she falter or complain, for she had learned long ago the futility of resistance in the face of her aunt's wrath. Finally, as the sun began its descent towards the horizon, Adana finished cleaning the last corner of the floor, her heart heavy with weariness, but her spirit unbroken. She rose slowly to her feet, surveying her handiwork with a sense of quiet satisfaction. But her moment of triumph was short-lived. Just as she stepped back to admire her work, the door swung open with a resounding bang, and Auntie Sabina stormed into the room, her face twisted into a mask of fury.
"What is this?"
Sabina demanded, her voice like thunder reverberating through the small room.
"You dare to think you can finish your chores early? I'll teach you a lesson you won't forget."
With that, she marched outside, returning moments later with handfuls of mud clutched in her grasp. Without hesitation, she flung the mud across the freshly cleaned floor, smearing it in thick, viscous streaks that marred the pristine surface. Adana's heart sank as she watched her hard work undone before her eyes, but still, she remained silent, knowing that any protest would only earn her further punishment.
"Why have you not done your work properly?"
Sabina scolded, her voice dripping with venom.
"You are lazy and incompetent, just like your worthless parents."
Adana lowered her gaze, her heart heavy with sorrow, but her resolve unbroken. She knew that no amount of pleading or explanation would sway her aunt's cruel heart. And so, with a heavy heart, she bent down once more, her hands trembling as she prepared to begin the task anew. Despite the cruelty she endured, Adana's spirit remained unbroken. She found solace in her singing, allowing her voice to soar above the hardships of her daily life, but her talent remained hidden, a secret treasure buried beneath the weight of her sorrow. One day, while Adana was at the market, her voice escaped in a melodic sigh, capturing the attention of Prince Kofi, the youngest son of the king. Enthralled by her song, Prince Kofi sought out the source of such enchanting music. Prince Kofi wandered through the bustling market, his face obscured beneath a simple cloak, his royal status hidden from the curious eyes of the villagers. His keen gaze swept across the crowd until it fell upon a figure that stood out amidst the throng, the young woman with a voice that seemed to pierce through the noise of the market. As he drew closer, Prince Kofi's breath caught in his throat at the sight of the girl. Despite her worn-out clothing and humble demeanor, there was a radiant beauty that shone from within her, casting a spell over all who beheld her. Entranced by her song, Prince Kofi approached the young woman cautiously, his heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation.
"Excuse me,"
he said softly, his voice barely audible above the melody.
"Your voice is truly captivating. May I have a moment of your time?"
Startled, Adana turned to face the stranger, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment at being caught in such a vulnerable moment.
"Oh, yes, of course.
She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper.
But I must be going soon."
Undeterred, Prince Kofi smiled warmly, his eyes twinkling with genuine interest.
"Please, just a moment longer,"
he urged, gesturing to a nearby bench.
"Let us sit and talk for a while. I would be honored to hear more about you."
Reluctantly, Adana acquiesced, her heart fluttering with nervous anticipation as she settled onto the bench beside him. To her surprise, the hours seemed to slip away as they conversed, their words flowing effortlessly between them like the gentle breeze that rustled through the market. But as the sun began its slow descent towards the horizon, Adana's heart sank with the realization that she had lingered far too long. With a sense of urgency, she rose to her feet, her hands trembling with anxiety.
I must go.
She murmured, her voice barely audible above the din of the market.
My aunt, she will be angry if I'm late.
Prince Kofi's heart sank at the thought of parting ways so soon, a sense of longing stirring within him.
Will I see you again?
He called out, his voice filled with desperation. But Adana only offered a fleeting glance over her shoulder before disappearing into the crowd, leaving Prince Kofi with nothing but the echo of her name upon his lips. As the sky darkened and the stars began to twinkle overhead, Adana hurried back to her aunt's house, her heart heavy with dread at the thought of facing her wrath. But no amount of haste could prevent the inevitable confrontation that awaited her. As she stepped through the threshold, the air thick with tension, her aunt's piercing gaze bore into her like a fiery brand.
Where have you been, girl?
Her aunt demanded, her voice laced with fury.
You dare to come back late and with no explanation?
Before Adana could utter a word in her defense, her aunt's hand lashed out like a bolt of lightning, striking her across the face with a force that sent her reeling. With a cry of pain, Adana stumbled backwards, her head colliding with the nearby table with a sickening thud. Stars danced before her eyes as she fought to regain her balance, the sharp sting of tears mingling with the dull ache spreading across her cheek. But her aunt's tirade continued unabated, her words like daggers piercing Adana's already wounded heart.
Sleep outside, since you love to be out so late.
Her aunt spat, her voice dripping with malice as she shoved Adana towards the door, slamming it shut behind her with a resounding bang. Alone in the darkness, Adana found herself trembling with a mixture of pain and fear. She sought refuge in a small corner of the house, curling into a tight ball as tears streamed down her bruised cheek. But the night offered no solace, for the biting sting of ants and the spectre of her aunt's cruelty loomed over her like a shadow. It was then that a kind-hearted neighbor, drawn by the sound of Adana's sobs, emerged from her own home, her heart heavy with compassion. Without hesitation, she offered Adana sanctuary for the night, a warm bed and a gentle touch serving as a balm for her wounded spirit. And so, nestled beneath the comforting embrace of her neighbor's kindness, Adana drifted into a fitful slumber, her dreams haunted by the echoes of her aunt's cruelty. Days later, as Adana made her way through the crowded market, she kept her head down, hoping to avoid any unwanted attention. Her bruised face throbbed with pain, a constant reminder of the cruelty she endured at the hands of her aunt. She glanced around nervously, her heart pounding in her chest, but her efforts to remain unnoticed were in vain. Suddenly, she felt a presence behind her, and before she could react, a hand gently touched her shoulder. Startled, she turned to see Prince Kofi standing before her, his eyes filled with concern.
Adana,
He said softly, his voice tinged with worry.
what happened to your face?
Panic surged through Adana's veins, and she instinctively took a step back, her gaze flickering towards the safety of the shadows. But Prince Kofi's gaze held her captive, his concern a beacon of light in the darkness.
I fell.
She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper.
It's nothing, really. I must be going.
But Prince Kofi's grip on her shoulder tightened, his eyes searching hers with an intensity that made her heart flutter.
Please, Adana.
He urged, his voice gentle but insistent.
Let me help you.
With a trembling sigh, Adana relented, her defenses crumbling beneath the weight of his sincerity. Tears welled in her eyes as she recounted the horrors of her life since her parents' death, the words tumbling from her lips in a torrent of anguish and despair. And as she spoke, Prince Kofi's expression darkened with anger, his fists clenched at his sides as he listened to the injustices she had endured.
This is unacceptable,
he declared, his voice laced with fury.
No one should ever treat you in such a manner.
With a tender gesture, he reached out and wiped away her tears, his touch like a soothing balm against the rawness of her pain.
You are not alone, Adana,
he whispered, his voice filled with determination.
I will do everything in my power to protect you.
As Adana poured her heart out to Prince Kofi, recounting the trials and tribulations she had endured since her parents' untimely death, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. With each word she spoke, the burden that had weighed so heavily upon her soul began to lift, replaced by a glimmer of hope, ignited by Prince Kofi's unwavering compassion. But as she finished her tale, she was unprepared for the revelation that Prince Kofi had been harboring within his own heart. With a hesitant smile, he confessed,
Adana, from the moment I first saw you in this market, I couldn't get you out of my mind. I've returned here every day since then, hoping to catch another glimpse of you, to tell you how much you've captivated me.
Adana's heart skipped a beat at his words, a rush of emotions flooding her senses. She had never dared to dream that someone like Prince Kofi could care for her, a lowly orphan girl with nothing to offer but her broken spirit. With a gentle touch, Prince Kofi reached out and took Adana's hand in his.
There's something else I must tell you, he said softly, his gaze filled with sincerity. I am not just a commoner wandering through this market. I am Prince Kofi, the youngest son of King Obasi.
Adana's eyes widened in astonishment, her mind reeling with the implications of his revelation. A prince, here in the market, speaking to her, a mere orphan girl. It seemed too incredible to believe. But as she looked into Prince Kofi's eyes, she saw only honesty and warmth shining back at her.
I don't care who you are, she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. All I know is that you've shown me kindness and compassion when no one else would. And for that, I am eternally grateful.
Touched by her words, Prince Kofi drew her into his embrace, holding her close as they sat together in the bustling market. Prince Kofi, filled with sincerity and warmth, he offered her a chance at a new life, free from the cruelty and oppression of her aunt.
Adana,
He said softly,
come away with me. You don't have to endure this pain any longer. I will protect you, cherish you, and give you the happiness you deserve.
Touched by his generosity and overwhelmed by the flood of conflicting emotions swirling within her, Adana hesitated, her mind racing with fear and uncertainty. Could she truly leave everything she had ever known behind? Could she trust in Prince Kofi's promises of a better life? With a heavy heart, Adana rose to her feet, her eyes brimming with tears.
I need time to think, she whispered, her voice barely audible above the gentle murmur of the market. Please understand.
Prince Kofi nodded understandingly, his heart heavy with the weight of her indecision.
Of course.
He said softly, his gaze never leaving hers.
Take all the time you need. We'll meet here again in 2 days' time, and whatever decision you make, know that I will always be here for you.
And with a lingering touch and a promise to return, Adana turned and made her way home, her mind consumed with thoughts of the choice that lay before her. As she disappeared into the crowd, Prince Kofi watched her go, his heart filled with hope and longing for the day when they would meet again. As Prince Kofi returned to the grand palace of his kingdom, his heart heavy with the weight of the revelation he carried, he sought an audience with his father, King Obasi. With each step he took through the ornate corridors, his mind raced with thoughts of Adana and the trial she had endured. Upon entering the throne room, Prince Kofi found King Obasi seated upon his golden throne, his regal presence commanding the room. With a deep breath, Prince Kofi approached his father, his voice steady but filled with emotion as he recounted the story of Adana, the orphan girl he had met in the market, whose beauty and resilience had captured his heart. As he spoke of Adana's plight, of the cruelty and abuse she had suffered at the hands of her aunt, King Obasi's brow furrowed with anger, his fists clenched tightly at his sides.
This is unforgivable,
He declared, his voice thundering through the chamber.
No one should ever be subjected to such treatment, least of all one as pure of heart as this young girl.
With a heavy heart, Prince Kofi beseeched his father for his blessing to bring Adana to live with them in the palace, to offer her the safety and security she so desperately deserved. And as he looked into his son's eyes, King Obasi saw the depth of his love and compassion mirror-read in the unwavering determination that burned within him. Moved by his son's sincerity and compassion, King Obasi nodded solemnly, his voice filled with resolve.
You have my blessing, my son,
he declared, his words ringing out with the weight of authority.
Bring Adana here to live with us in the palace. She shall find sanctuary within these walls, and her aunt shall answer for her crimes.
Thank you, father.
With the king's blessing secured, Prince Kofi's heart swelled with gratitude and relief. And as he set out once more to find Adana and bring her to their kingdom, he knew that together they would build a future filled with love, compassion. As the appointed day arrived, Adana's heart fluttered with anticipation as she made her way to the bustling market, her steps light with excitement. She couldn't wait to see Prince Kofi again, to hear his voice and feel the warmth of his embrace. And then, amidst the crowd, she caught sight of him, the prince who had captured her heart with his kindness and compassion. With a joyful cry, Adana ran towards him, her heart overflowing with love and gratitude.
Prince Kofi,
she exclaimed, her voice ringing out clear and true.
I have been waiting for this moment. Yes, I will escape with you, my prince,
she added, sweetly mocking him as she bowed playfully before him. Prince Kofi, his eyes sparkling with amusement, let out a hearty laugh at her antics.
I'm overjoyed to hear that, my princess,
he declared, returning her playful gesture with a bow of his own.
Let us leave this place together and begin our journey towards a brighter future.
With laughter ringing in their ears, Prince Kofi and Adana set off from the market, hand in hand, their hearts light with the promise of new beginnings. Upon their arrival at the Grand Palace, Prince Kofi wasted no time in summoning the palace maid to attend to Adana's needs. With gentle hands and skillful fingers, the maid dressed Adana in a sumptuous gown, fit for a princess, her beauty radiant against the opulent fabrics and intricate designs. And then, with a sense of pride and anticipation, Prince Kofi led Adana through the grand halls of the palace, towards the throne room, where King Obasi and Queen Nia awaited their arrival. As they entered the throne room, the king and queen rose from their thrones, their faces alight with joy at the sight of Adana.
Welcome home, my child,
Queen Nia exclaimed, her voice filled with warmth and affection.
Indeed, welcome home, sweet child,
echoed King Obasi, his eyes shining with pride as he gazed upon the girl who had captured his son's heart. With tears of joy in her eyes, Adana stepped forward to embrace her newfound family, her heart overflowing with gratitude for the love and acceptance she had found within the walls of the palace. And as she stood before them, surrounded by the warmth of their embrace, she knew that she had finally found her true home. The next day dawned bright and clear, but within the walls of the palace, there was a sense of tension as King Obasi prepared to mete out justice for the crimes committed against Adana. With Prince Kofi and Adana by his side, the king ordered his royal vehicle prepared, determined to confront Adana's aunt and hold her accountable for her actions. As they made their way through the village, the sight of the king's vehicle caused a stir among the villagers, who gathered outside their homes to catch a glimpse of the rare occurrence. Whispers spread through the crowd as they watched the royal procession pass by, curiosity piqued by the unusual sight. Finally, they arrived at Adana's aunt's house, where she stood waiting, a smile playing upon her lips at the sight of the king and the prince before her. But her smile quickly faded as King Obasi stepped forward, his expression stern and unyielding.
Are you Sabina?
The king asked, his voice like thunder reverberating through the air.
Yes, my king,
Sabina replied, her voice faltering slightly as she sensed the gravity of the situation. Without hesitation, King Obasi issued his decree.
Guards, arrest this woman for the crimes of battery and inhuman cruelty,
he commanded, his words leaving no room for doubt. Confusion clouded Sabina's face as she struggled to comprehend the accusations leveled against her.
What crimes? Against who?
She demanded, her voice tinged with disbelief.
Against my daughter-in-law,
The king replied, his gaze unwavering as he turned to face Prince Kofi, who stood by his side, his eyes shining with determination. With a sense of satisfaction, Prince Kofi opened the door of the royal vehicle and escorted Adana out, her presence a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. The gasps of the crowd echoed through the air as they beheld Adana, the true victim of her aunt's cruelty. As realization dawned upon her, Sabina's jaw dropped in shock, her eyes widening with horror at the consequences of her actions.
You reap what you sow.
Adana whispered softly to her aunt, her words a poignant reminder of the immutable law of justice. King Obasi watched as the guards led Sabina away, her fate sealed by her own cruel deeds. And as they departed, he vowed to ensure that she faced the same inhumane tasks that she had inflicted upon Adana, a fitting punishment for her crimes against humanity. A month later, the grand halls of the palace were adorned with flowers and shimmering decorations, as Prince Kofi and Adana prepared to exchange their vows in a lavish wedding ceremony. The air was filled with anticipation and joy as nobles and commoners alike gathered to witness the union of two souls bound by love and destiny. As Adana walked down the aisle, her beauty radiated like a beacon of light, her angelic voice singing melodies that echoed through the palace halls. Prince Kofi stood at the altar, his heart overflowing with love and gratitude for the woman who had captured his heart. With tears of happiness in their eyes, Prince Kofi and Adana exchanged vows of eternal love and devotion, sealing their union with a tender kiss that brought cheers and applause from all who bore witness. From that day forward, Adana's presence graced the palace with a warmth and light that captivated all who encountered her. Her lovely singing echoed throughout the halls, bringing joy and comfort to all who heard it. At every event and gathering, Adana was encouraged to sing, her voice weaving a spellbinding tapestry of music that enchanted all who listened. And with each note she sang, she shared a piece of her soul with the world, spreading love and happiness wherever she went. As Prince Kofi and Adana embarked on their journey together, their love served as a beacon of hope and inspiration for the kingdom. And as they danced beneath the stars on their wedding night, surrounded by the love and adoration of their friends and family, they knew that their love would endure for eternity, a testament to the power of love to conquer all obstacles and unite hearts as one.
Thank you for watching. Please support our channel, like, share and subscribe, and comment down below to tell us what you thought about the story. Check out our other popular stories. Click the video on the right. Hope to read you soon.